I know in my last video I said I would be gone for a while. Technically, I am gone mentally. Just a few things I want to talk about. Give me a few minutes of your time. It's so funny. A couple of weeks ago, I had a subscriber ask me if I was ever going to start making actual videos again with me instead of using the static picture that I've been using. I don't have a webcam, something that I can mount on top of my monitor or on my top of my computer on my desk. I did have one, but it was outdated, old, and I got rid of it. I have a DSLR with video features that I can use, but I told him it's difficult to do that kind of video and not trip over the tripod every so often when you hear your name being called 100 times. That's what I was dealing with for the last few years. Dominic, where are you? People who have been listening long enough knows I had a 91-year-old mother with dementia and zero mobility. And she died last night in her sleep. I can make that kind of video now and not worry about having to jump up and run in there and in the process trip over my tripod. But I'm a wreck right now. And I don't want to do that kind of video. But I do want to get some things off my chest. I do want to talk about some things. It was very weird. Let me explain to you what I mean by weird. When she was in the hospital, they told me there wasn't much more they could do for her, and they were going to put her in hospice. And I said, we're going to do hospice at home. I don't want her dying in a hospital. And while I was in the hospital there, in the lobby, with the hospice nurse, going over all the paperwork, friends and relatives were calling up who I haven't heard from in a long, long time. Starting with my uncle, my father's brother. I haven't heard from him in over a year. All of a sudden he called, asking how things are going. And I got her home, and my cousin called. And then her friend in Arizona, who used to live out here, they were very good friends. And they always kept in touch, yakking over the phone for hours. She called. It was weird. It was as if they knew. It was just strange. Freaked me out. Well, her friend and my cousin, I put my phone on speaker, and they got to say hello to her, but she couldn't communicate. She could only communicate in grunts. And her breathing was like, she was on oxygen. That night I was changing her undergarment, and I had a nice long talk with her. I'm glad I did. And I got my pillow and my blanket from in my room, and I laid it out on the couch next to her in the hospital bed that I have in the middle of the living room. And I said, I'm going to stay with you tonight, Mom. We're going to watch TV. And I turned on the Hallmark Channel. She could watch her favorite show, The Golden Girls, and then Frasier, then 2 episodes of Cheers, then I Love Lucy. The Golden Girls, Frasier, they were her favorite shows. She liked I Love Lucy too. And there were a few other channels I switched around with reruns from old 70s and 80s shows that I used to have her watch. And I went off to sleep on the couch, as uncomfortable as it was. And I was exhausted. I was like worn out. And I thought I'd sleep well into the afternoon. But I didn't. I woke up at 6:30 in the morning. For some reason, I just woke up at 6:30 in the morning. And I was staring at the TV, and as I started to wake up, I realized I didn't hear her breathing. And I turned towards her, and she wasn't breathing. And I got up, and I called her name. I screamed her name. I shook her. She was gone. She passed on in her sleep. And just like Kenny Rogers wrote, the best you can hope for is to die in your sleep. That's what she got. That now is the big task. What I meant when I said in my last video, I don't know where I'm going to end up right now, where this new journey that I'm starting that started for me at 6:30 this morning is going to take me because I only have a couple of grand in the bank and no job. My job for the last few years has been caregiver. I was getting money from an assisted living program. Plus, I was living off her Social Security and a small pension. That's all gone now. I have to notify them. I have to tell them she's gone. That money won't be coming in, so I have to find a job real fast. I'm probably going to end up selling this house and a lot of stuff within the house. But that's why I say after this video, I don't know when I'll be back. I'm just, right now my mind is in a fog, in a haze. And the worst part was when the funeral home came to pick up her body. I'm going to have her cremated. There's not going to be any funeral. There's nobody here. It's just me and a cousin that I've been keeping in touch with. It's 30 miles away in Westminster. There's nobody else. So that was the hardest part. It was when I signed all those papers, and he says he'll go outside and let us know when you're ready, and we'll bring in the gurney and take her out. And that was difficult. Very difficult. It's just so weird talking to dead people. I'm glad I got to talk to her and say the things I've wanted to say to her last night when she was still alive. And I know she could hear me. I know she could. They can hear you, they just can't respond, but at least just in grunts. But and then I opened up the front door and I said, "Go take her." And I went outside to my side drive port, and that's when it all came out. A neighbor came out, gave me a hug. Yeah, that's how loud I was. And then I told her, "Thank you. I got to get out front. I want to see them when they take her out." And they were just taking her out, and she was in the body bag. And I was just saying goodbye. And the funeral director said, "If you want to touch her on the body bag, you can." It wasn't easy. Still not easy. I mean, she's only been dead for a few hours. She's only been gone. She died at 6:30 this morning. At least that's what we're putting down on the paper. And it's probably close to the truth, because when I got up at 6:30 in the morning and I touched her, she was still warm. And by the time the funeral home came to pick up the body, she was ice cold. At least that's how it seemed to me. I don't know. At this point in time, I really don't know if I can trust my feelings or what's going on in my head right now. And when you have a loved one that's near death, all the nurses and doctors start getting all spiritual with you. The old line, "She's in a better place." Even the funeral director mentioned it. And the last few years of her life, I used to hear a lot from her, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, why are you doing this to me? God, why are you doing this to me?" She used to ask God for help, and I said, "I'm here, Mom, I'm helping you. Don't worry about God." And she knew my feelings, what I believed, what I didn't believe. And the last night when I had that long talk with her, the things you say sometimes just to comfort a loved one. I told her, I said, "Mom, I would like you to stay with me a little while longer. But if you have to go, then go. I'll be seeing you again. Say hello to Dad. Say hello to Grandma, Aunt Flo, and Uncle Joey. And I'll see you again. It's okay, Mom. You've been good to me. You were there when I needed you. That's why I'm here, when you need me. It's okay, Mom. I'll be okay." You have to say that. No, you do. You have to tell them to let go. It's time to go. I'll be okay, because they do worry. My cousin, when her mother died, my aunt, her sister, she had to do the same thing, because she was worried towards the end. She didn't want to go. Or maybe it's all in our heads. I don't know. All I know is that I'm sitting in an empty house. I haven't turned on the TV all day. I'm staring at a half-eaten sandwich as I'm talking. I was hungry when I went out for a long drive and a long walk at one of her favorite parks I used to take her to. And when I got back home, I was hungry, and I made a little sandwich. And I didn't even eat half of it, 2-3 bites. And I was just sitting there staring at me. And if you notice, the views on my last video are getting up there. That's me. I just, for some reason, can't stop replaying that video. That was the last decent picture that I took of her at that very park that I mentioned. There were a couple of other pictures I took of her. Every time a dog, and there were a lot of people walking dogs in that park. And she'd always tell me, Dominic, take a picture of the dog. Take a picture of the dog. And one girl actually picked her dog up and let my mother pet it. That was kind of funny. That made her happy. But I went to that park today for a walk down the same path that I used to push her around in the wheelchair. And there was this one spot down in the park, a little trail. And I just stood there. I'm going to tell you something that happened last month with her at this very spot that I stood on, that I haven't mentioned before. And this is the thing that kills me the most. Last month, or about a month and a half ago, I was going down that little slope with her in the park, a slope that I've gone up and down with her 100 times. And I tripped on something, and I fell on my knees, and I lost her wheelchair. And she went sailing down that hill and ended up face first in a cement rain drain, or a V drain as they call it out here. I thought she was dead. She recovered. She had 3 fractured fingers in her left hand, and they said that she had some blood on the brain, and her knees were badly scraped up. She was in the hospital for that. And, yeah. So you see what's weighing on my shoulders. I mean, she recovered. The blood on the brain cleared up. It went away. And her hand was clearing up. Her fingers were getting better. And she seemed to be getting better. Then she started getting sick again. And I don't know. You know, I can't help but think if that incident brought it on. Everybody keeps telling me you can't blame yourself. It was just a freakish accident. But I can't stop kicking myself in the butt for it. I'll never go to that park again. But that's what I got to live with. That's what I got to deal with. Yeah. Anyway, she's gone. It's just me now. Just sorting it all out. I got the rent check back. The day before she died, I paid the rent. It was almost due on the 5th. I got up this morning, she died. I kept calling the office, waiting for them to be in, and I told them what happened. I said, hold that check, don't cash that check. I want that, I need that money. Right now I'm just sorting things out. It's going to take a while. Anyway, thanks for putting up with me, my little ramblings here. I don't know if it helps me any. Part of my ulterior motive here. I don't know, maybe I'll post another video about what's going on, or let you know. I don't know. Right now I'm just rambling now. You thought I was rambling before, now I'm really rambling. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thanks for stopping by, for tuning in. Be well and enjoy life.